The virile hegemony conquered with silence. They were the galaxy's most feared psychologists, their fleets arrayed not with weapons, but with sophisticated emotive projectors and cognitive scanners. They didn't destroy planets. They unraveled societies. Their algorithms predicted every fear, every resentment, every hidden schism within a species' collective psyche, then broadcast precisely calibrated emotional resonant frequencies. Paranoia became epidemic, trust dissolved, hope withered, and civilizations meticulously dismantled themselves from within, reduced to apathetic dust or self-immolating rage. The virile observed, catalogued the downfall, and then moved on, their victories achieved without a single shot, leaving only ghosts of once vibrant cultures. Their latest target, humanity. On the virile flagship Mind-Forged Truth, Overseer Cathar watched the initial scans of Earth. Their emotional spectrum is a chaos, he articulated, his psionic tendrils rippling with a familiar, confident calculation. High incidence of irrational hope counteracting existential dread, significant attachment bonding despite personal trauma. Their laughter frequency overlaps with their distress signals, anomalous, but predictable. Their models, honed over 1,000 conquests, showed the usual vectors for induced despair, paranoia, and internal conflict. Humans would be assimilated into compliant apathy, like all the others. The first wave of emotive projectors pulsed. Across Earth, a wave of subtle, pervasive despair began to settle. Creative endeavors felt pointless. Ambition dimmed. News cycles, already grim, became overwhelmingly bleak. Suicidal ideation spiked. It was the virile's signature opening move, rarely failed. But then, the virile's algorithms glitched. On a small human colony ship, the Starseeker, a group of engineers, artists, and families, fleeing a distant, unrelated conflict, found their own despair rising. The ship's AI, usually a steady presence, began playing mournful, repetitive music. Food tasted like ash. Children huddled, their bright eyes dimming. "This is it, isn't it?" someone mumbled, tears silently tracking through the dust on their face. No point in fixing the life support, no point in going anywhere. Then a young woman, Ilara Vance, a former stand-up comedian who now doubled as the ship's morale officer, staggered to her feet. Her face was streaked, her shoulders slumped, but a flicker of something defiant sparked in her eyes. "No point," her voice was hoarse. "No point, you think you get to just give up. After everything." A bitter laugh escaped her lips, shaky at first, then gaining strength. "That's rich, you know what? That's the funniest damn thing I've heard all week. No point. I once had a gig where the only audience member was a pigeon. I finished the set. I got paid. You think I'm gonna let some cosmic buzzkill take my last good joke?" She pulled out a crumpled, stained notebook. "All right, listen up, you miserable bastards. New material time. Why did the virile cross the galaxy? To get to the other side, and realize they'd forgotten how to feel the damn crossing." A choked gasp, then a snort from a grizzled mechanic. A nervous titter from a mother cradling her child. Ilara kept going, pulling absurdities from the depths of their shared misery, weaving them into a tapestry of defiant, dark humor. It wasn't about being happy. It was about refusing to be only despairing. It was a human kind of ugly, resilient laughter born from the very abyss of induced hopelessness. Overseer Cathar's psionic tendrils recoiled. "Anomaly detected," he hissed. Subject population exhibiting gallows humor. A compensatory mechanism, but one our models do not fully account for. It is contagious. The virile shifted tactics, broadcasting overwhelming waves of paranoia. Trust dissolved across populations. Neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. Communications systems were flooded with accusations. On the Starseeker, the dark humor remained, but a creeping distrust began to gnaw. Food supplies were checked, then rechecked. Security protocols became ludicrously complex. Then, a grizzled old data analyst named Jax, who had seen his share of corporate backstabbing, called a ship-wide meeting. "Listen, you lot," he grumbled, projecting a hastily compiled conspiracy theory-esque flowchart of their own paranoia. "They want us to tear ourselves apart, right? So let's do it, but let's do it on our terms. Let's accuse everyone loudly, absurdly. Let's invent conspiracy theories so ridiculous, so utterly untrue, that their algorithms choke on the data." He pointed at the captain. "I heard you're actually a sentient space potato trying to steal our sporks." The captain, a stern woman, looked aghast. Then a flicker of understanding, a grudging grin. "And you, Jax, are clearly a sentient dust bunny, trying to clog our air filters with your terrible ideas." The Viral watched, bewildered. Their paranoia algorithms, designed to find real fault lines, struggled to process the sheer volume of deliberately nonsensical accusations. Humans were playing at paranoia, mocking its very existence, and in doing so, rendering it inert. They were building bonds not on trust, but on shared, absurd, performative distrust. Cathar's psionic tendrils frayed. This is not logical. They are not breaking, they are performing. Their collective delusion is self-sustaining and offers no exploitable vectors. The Viral unleashed their ultimate weapon, induced apathy. A deep cosmic indifference that dissolved all purpose, all drive, all desire to act. Civilizations often simply ceased to exist, their populations sitting still until they withered away. On the Star Seeker, the laughter faded. The playful paranoia stilled. A pervasive, heavy pointlessness settled over everyone. Ilara felt the weight, crushing her spirit, whispering that nothing mattered. She watched Jax stare blankly at a console, his fingers idle. Then a quiet hum began from the ship's engine room. Chief Engineer Mara, a woman whose hands were always restless, was there. She wasn't building anything critical. She wasn't even fixing anything. She was simply taking apart a small, non-essential component, cleaning each part meticulously, then putting it back together. Slowly, carefully, not because it mattered, but because she had started. Then she started on another component. And another. Other humans, caught in the wave of apathy, found their hands idly reaching for tools. Not to build, not to fix, but to do. A painter picked up a brush not to create a masterpiece, but to simply make a mark. A musician picked up an instrument not to compose, but to make a sound. The Viral's apathy weaponized meaninglessness, but humans, in their profound, illogical drive to simply do something, anything, even if it had no discernible purpose, found a way to defy it. Their actions weren't driven by hope or despair, but by a stubborn, deeply ingrained human need for engagement, however small or pointless. Overseer Cathar's entire form vibrated with computational overload. Unpredictable. Their apathy response is active. They are engaging in purpose-free activity. This is not a state of cessation. Their consciousness persists despite the absence of external stimuli or internal drive. The Viral hegemony, having perfected the art of unraveling societies, found themselves utterly unraveled by humanity. Their algorithms, built on predictable emotional responses, were drowned in the sheer, chaotic, illogical volume and resilience of human emotional paradox. They could not compute a species that laughed at its own misery, embraced absurd conspiracies, and found meaning in the utterly meaningless. With a final, desperate burst of data, the mind-forged truth pulled back, its emotive projectors flickering erratically. The Viral retreated, classifying humanity as emotional anomaly. Unpredictable and contagious. They had sought to conquer with psychology, but instead, they encountered a species whose emotions were less a predictable battlefield and more a self-generating, glorious maelstrom that defied all logic. The galaxy had always feared humanity's capacity for war. Now, the Viral pondered something far more terrifying: humanity's capacity for feeling everything, all at once, and somehow thriving on it.